You know what's funny? Not funny like laughing, funny like it hits you in the stomach at 3 in the morning and you can't breathe. I had everything. I mean everything a man's supposed to want. Good job, roof over my head, food on the table, kids who weren't in trouble, and a woman, a good woman, sleeping in the bed next to me for 41 years. And I was lonely, and so was she. And neither one of us ever said it out loud. You think loneliness is something that happens to people who are alone. Nobody tells you it can happen right in the middle of a marriage, right in the middle of a full house, right in the middle of a life that looks, from the outside, perfectly fine. I'm Raymond, 82 years old. I worked 37 years on the floor of a steel fabrication plant in Youngstown, Ohio. I came home smelling like metal and grease every night of my adult life. And I was so tired, I mean bone tired, the kind of tired that gets into your joints, that I didn't notice my wife disappearing right in front of me. She died 4 years ago, pancreatic cancer, 11 weeks from diagnosis to gone, and I have been trying to figure out what to do with the rest of my life ever since. My father wasn't a talker. I want you to understand that first, because I think that's where this whole thing started. He was a quiet man, Slovak immigrant, came over when he was 19 with $40 and a cousin's address written on a piece of paper. He worked. That's what he did. That's all he did. He worked, and he came home and he sat in his chair and he was quiet. I don't remember him ever asking me how I was doing. Not once. Not in a way that meant he was waiting for the real answer. What I do remember is this. I was maybe 7 years old, and I had this hamster, stupid little thing, brown and white, named Biscuit. And Biscuit died one morning before school. I found him in the cage, just still, and I started crying. Not loud, just that kind of quiet crying where your chest hurts. My father walked past the doorway, saw me, stopped, looked at me for a second, then he said, "Clean the cage out before your mother sees it," and he left for work. That was it. That was the whole moment. I'm not telling you that to make you feel sorry for me. I'm telling you because I became him. I became that man in the doorway. I looked at the people I love the most and I said, without ever using words, pull yourself together, there's work to be done. And I never even knew I was doing it. That's the part that gets me now. I thought I was being strong. I thought I was being a provider. I thought that showing up with a paycheck was the same thing as showing up. It is not the same thing. Her name was Carol. She was 23 when I married her. Brown hair, always laughing at things I didn't find funny, which used to annoy me, and now I'd give anything to hear again. For the first few years it was fine. We were young, we were tired in a good way, we had the kids coming, there was always something happening. I don't think either of us noticed the distance growing, because we were both moving so fast we couldn't feel it. But I remember the exact moment I should have stopped. I remember it like a photograph. Our daughter Lisa was 6. It was her birthday. Carol had made this cake from scratch, yellow cake with chocolate frosting, little pink flowers on top. She'd spent all day on it, and I was late coming home from the plant because we had a shipment issue and my supervisor needed me to stay. I walked in at 8:15. Lisa was already in bed. The cake was on the counter with one piece missing. They'd eaten without me. Carol was washing dishes. She didn't turn around when I came in. I said something like, "Sorry, couldn't be helped." And she said, "I know," just like that, quiet. "I know," not angry, just resigned. That word, resigned. I didn't understand it then. I understand it now. By the time I was 40, I had a good union job, decent pension building up, a foreman's position I was proud of. I was making more than my father ever made, more than anyone in my family had made. And I genuinely felt that I was doing right by my family. By 45, the kids were older and the house was quieter, and Carol had picked up a part-time job at a florist, and she had friends there, and she stopped asking me what time I'd be home. She stopped asking. I didn't notice for almost 2 years that she'd stopped asking. By 50, we were living like, I don't know how to describe it, like two people who worked at the same company and were friendly enough but didn't know each other's real life. Polite, pleasant. She watched her shows, I watched mine. We ate dinner together most nights. We talked about the kids, about the neighbors, about whoever was sick or getting married or in trouble. We did not talk about us. By 55, I had worked so much overtime in my life that I genuinely did not know what Carol liked anymore, what she thought about, what scared her, what she dreamed about. I had been sleeping next to this woman for 30 years, and I could not have told you who she was. And at 62, I retired. And for the first time in my adult life, I was home. Every day, all day, and Carol and I looked at each other across the kitchen table and realized we had no idea how to be together. That was maybe the worst feeling I have ever had in my life, worse than the grief even, because the grief came later and it was clean in a way. But this was looking at something you'd broken so slowly you hadn't felt it break. There was a man at my plant, Bernie Kowalski. We worked together for 20 years, side by side. Bernie was the kind of guy who left at 4:30 no matter what, every single day, 4:30. His supervisor used to ride him about it, and Bernie would just say, "I got somewhere to be." We all thought he was soft. I'm not gonna lie to you. We thought he was the kind of man who let his wife run things. That's how we talked back then. That's what we thought strength looked like. Bernie had this wife, Helen, small woman, red hair, always sent him with a thermos of coffee and a note in his lunch. An actual note. Every day for 20 years, that man got a handwritten note in his lunch, and he never acted embarrassed about it. I used to give him a hard time. Light ribbon, you know. What did Helen write today, Bernie? He'd just smile. Bernie retired a few years before me. Last I heard from him, he and Helen were taking a trip every year somewhere they'd never been. Portugal 1 year, New Mexico the next. He called me once after Carol died, just to check in. I asked him, I said, "Bernie, how'd you do it? How'd you stay connected all those years?" He was quiet for a second, and then he said, "Ray, I just decided early on that the plant didn't love me back. Carol did. So I made sure she knew she came first." That's it. That's the whole answer. The plant didn't love me back. I worked 37 years for something that would have replaced me in 2 weeks if I'd dropped dead, and I gave it everything I had. My best hours, my best energy, my full attention, and Carol got what was left. Carol got leftovers. For 41 years, that woman got the leftover version of me, the tired me, the distracted me, the me who was already thinking about tomorrow's shift before I'd finished dinner. And she loved me anyway. She loved that worn-out, half-present, leftover version of me, and I did not deserve it. And I did not say thank you nearly enough. And I cannot go back. That's the thing nobody tells you until it's too late. You think you'll make up for it. You think there's more time. You think retirement is coming, and then you'll travel, you'll slow down, you'll sit on the porch and actually look at her, actually talk, actually be there in the way you were never quite there before. And then 11 weeks. 11 weeks and she's G1, and the porch is just a porch. I want to ask you something, and I want you to actually think about it. Don't just let it slide off. When was the last time the person you love felt like your first choice, not your obligation, not your default, your first choice? Because I think a lot of you are doing what I did. I think a lot of you have got a story in your head that goes like this. Right now is the hard part. Right now I have to work, have to grind, have to build the thing. And once the thing is built, once the number in the account is high enough, once the kids are through school, once the promotion comes, once I just get through this one season, then I'll be present, then I'll show up, then I'll be the husband or wife or partner I keep meaning to be. I believed that story for 40 years. And here is what I know now at 82, sitting in a house full of Carol's things that I don't have the heart to move. There is no then, there is only now, and the people in the room with you right now. And whether you are actually there with them or just physically occupying the same space, those are not the same thing. Your kids know the difference. Your partner knows the difference. They feel it every day, even if they don't say it, even if they've done what Carol did and just gotten quiet about it. The quiet isn't peace. The quiet is giving up, hoping you'll notice. Don't make them give up. I don't have a big finish for you. I'm not that kind of man. I just know that I'd trade every hour of overtime I ever worked for one Tuesday evening with Carol. Nothing special, just dinner. Her talking about the flowers she was arranging at the shop that day. Me actually listening, not nodding, listening, just one ordinary Tuesday that I was actually present for. You've still got your Tuesdays, that's all I'm saying. Don't do what I did. Don't look up one day and realize the life you were building the whole time was happening and you were somewhere else for it. If this reached something in you, something you needed to hear, hit subscribe. We put out a new voice every week. Every one of them is someone running out of time, trying to give you back some of yours. And before you go, leave me one answer in the comments. Just one. What is one thing you're going to do differently this week with the person you love most? I'd like to know. I've got time now.